Okay, so I always have to start off by asking, where in the world are you? I hear some twang. I think you're somewhere.
You do.
Can I
You hear
guess?
a lot of twang.
So basically, my understanding of American geography is based on Miss Congeniality and the states that ended up getting to the end in that movie. So I know that you're from somewhere like Georgia or
Close.
somewhere south. Where? Where are you from?
South Carolina, about 4 hours above Georgia.
No way.
I'm not shitting you.
Well, darling, you shouldn't have any problem with sales with your cool accent. I mean,
Thank you.
so I would love to, first of all, you know, it's funny. So when I started doing this, where I was like, okay, I'm going to give some people something as a thank you for looking at my webinar. At first, I was just going to send them some master classes from my course. And then I realized I really want to make sure that it's something that hits home, that's really relevant to what you're thinking through and working on right now. So why don't we just take the next couple minutes? Why don't you tell me, you're saying that the price objection is tough. Can you talk a bit about that?
Sure. I started my business about 3 years ago. Because I was dealing with a lot of health issues, and I decided I wanted to do freelance writing since I love to write. I've always loved writing. I used to get in trouble in school for it. And so I just, when my parents were doing their own business, because my parents had their own business, they struggled a lot
Yeah.
with making ends meet, especially in the winter since their business was seasonal.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of my money relationship issues come from, is from that, watching them, and it just had this huge impact. They never realized the impact that it had.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have taken 2 or 3 courses on learning how to reach out to people about blogging, and just being able to write the blog post for them, since that's what I've been selling for the last 3 years off and on.
Right.
And the pricing, I've been reaching out to the wrong people, and it's painfully obvious that I've not been pre-qualifying people. And so a lot of the price objections that I get is, you're too expensive.
Yeah.
I worked with a law firm for about 1.5 years, where my pricing was twice excuse me, my pricing was set twice as high as they were willing to pay.
Right.
And they had worked with freelancers before, and they told me that up front.
Mm-hmm.
They had worked with freelancers before, and they're like, this is what we pay, take it or leave it.
Mm-hmm.
And I, sacrificed my, what standards I had, and took it, because, I had to pay the bills. I was full-time in my business, and I was like, I've got to pay the bills. And so all of a sudden, when they fired me back in April, it just made me realize maybe, it had this horrible, it just gave me this horrible whack in the self-confidence arena, because it just, for them, I was expendable.
Yeah.
It just destroyed my self-confidence. So a lot of all of the objections that I've been getting is, you're too expensive.
Mm-hmm.
To answer your question, that's where all of them are hitting, and I just freeze.
Right.
I just freeze, and I just, I don't put my foot down and say, I'm sorry, I can't go any lower. I'm not going to go any lower.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I've been standing lately.
Right. Right. And do you feel like you're too expensive? Do you feel like too expensive is a thing that actually exists?
No, not now.
Good.
No.
Good. Good. And so, the interesting thing is, if them saying you're too expensive affected you 0%, how would that affect your sales? How would that affect the transaction? How would that affect the sales conversation? If you agreed with them 0%, how would that affect your confidence when you were going into that conversation?
I think for me, I would be able to, like you were saying in the webinar, be able to shift that paradigm and be able to say that it's not a cost, it's an investment. You're investing in yourself and you're investing in the success of your business. Cost is not an issue. Cost should not be an issue because it's not a cost, it's an investment.
There you go, baby girl. There you go. I'm glad that it had that immediate impact, which is amazing. And you know, the funny thing is, I always say this, the number one negotiation is not between you and them.
It's between yourself, you and yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And so the convincing, this is the good news and the bad news. The good news is the convincing is you need to convince yourself. Mm-hmm. And I, you know, the thing is, all of the kinds of pain that we experience, and I do consider it a kind of pain. Like you can say it's about sales, but it's not about sales. That's the thing. It's about our feelings of worth. It's about our feelings of value. It's about whether we feel acknowledged. It's about whether we feel like our gifts land in the world, or, you know, we want our goodness to be used up and received, right? And compensated well, right? Mm-hmm. And so, you know, sometimes the painful, difficult work is you asking yourself, in what ways do you undervalue yourself? In what ways do you sell yourself short? In what ways are you willing and I completely understand the pay your bills thing, and there are some realities of this life. And yet 99% of this entrepreneur game is mental. And once you've won the mental game, here's the thing. As soon as you're 100% resolved on something, as soon as you believe, for example, that you are worth 5 to 10K for XYZ service, right? As soon as you really believe that, you can transfer that conviction to me. Right? Mm-hmm. But if you don't believe it, it's like your Swiss cheese. You got all these holes that I can very easily poke. And here's the thing. Any sales transaction is like a negotiation, right? And the one with more conviction, the one who can plant their feet deeper and believes it more, transfers their conviction to the other person. So let's say you versus company X. Do you believe that you're worth it more than company X doesn't believe that you're worth it? Right?
Right, yeah.
And the problem happens when they say something to you that you already believe, right? Like, for example, take something that I feel sensitive about. I feel sensitive about the fact that, like, I've always been, like, on the curvier side. Like, no matter how healthy I eat, blah, blah, blah. Of my 4 sisters, I'm the thick one, okay? Mm-hmm. So that's something that's already sensitive to me, right? And I'm not fully resolved about it. Then if you, let's say we got in a fight and you throw that at me, right? It's not going to be like a water off my back. Actually, it's going to trigger me. And the only reason it triggers me is because it exists within me. If you say something to me that is completely like, you said to me, like, Paloma, you suck at cooking. I'd be like, actually, I'm amazing. And that wouldn't affect me at all, right? And so if you feel triggered, like I get you're too expensive sometimes, and I love it. I'm like, damn right, I'm expensive, and I'm fucking amazing, and you'd be so goddamn lucky if you had the opportunity to work with me, right? I love when, and then they're like, oh, okay, what are your blah, 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 you know? Mm-hmm. And so, like, I love being expensive. But it all has to do with your own feelings about it. And so I would just say we always have to go to the source. And the source is always historical pain. And it's kind of crazy how what happens to us between the ages of, let's say, 1 and 10 in our lives, to pick an arbitrary range, that stuff is so carried with us. It's on our sales calls with us. All of that crap, right?
Right.
And so the good news is that the work we just have to do within ourselves, I mean, it's not easy, but at least we're in control of it, right? And so as soon as you truly believe, actually, it's a great investment for you. Actually, you'd be really lucky. If I wrote your blog posts for you, then you would be relieved of that burden, and it would make your business better, and you would get more attraction of great leads to your blog. Actually, it's a wonderful investment. And I'm glad that you think it's expensive. It is, because everything worthwhile is expensive, right? Mm-hmm. And so I guess the work or the homework worth doing is ask yourself, what part of hearing you're too expensive triggers something in you? And what does it remind you of? what past experiences, and I'm talking past experiences in your formative years, what does that trigger or bring up? What of those triggers are still alive in you? And I would never suggest that someone do something that I haven't done as well. Every person, at least every person that I know, has had some kind of weird relationship to money growing up. Either our parents fought about it, or we had a single parent who was struggling with it, or we grew up in a generation where you don't talk about money, or I was one of 4 sisters, right? We had to like share a lot, and I was very careful about what I asked for because I know that I don't want to put a big burden on my parent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the good news is, with some unlearning, now we go from having the parents that we had who did their very best and we're still flawed, to now we get a parent ourselves. And so if you are the parent of, is it Lisa or Lizzie? Or
Lisa.
both? Okay,
Yes,
I like them both.
whatever one you want to call me is fine. I don't give a shit.
I like Lizzie. I think it's cute.
Oh,
Okay, so you're parenting cute little Lizzie, right? And now you have the opportunity to reparent her. And you get to teach her anything that you want about money, right? You can, if you want, you can teach her, oh, we're going to have to beg for money and there's never going to be enough. Or you can teach her, you, Lizzie, you are the money. You are the money. So in your account, it could be 0, it could be negative 500, it could be 10,000, a million, whatever. But you are the money. And what fluctuates in your bank account does not affect your worth. If it's so interesting, if you think about like a homeless person and maybe they have $0 in their account versus a millionaire, a former millionaire who lost the million and they have $0 in their account, we consider the former millionaire at 0 or nothing because of all of the equity they've built in themselves through the skills and the fact that they're able to earn it. They know the value is it within you. And that is irrespective of what's in our accounts. And so your project, so that you don't entertain the bullshit, right? It's like, do you ever have, okay, this is a very relatable example. You ever have female friends who have like dirtbag boyfriends and you're like, why the blank are you with them? And it's like, it doesn't matter how amazing they are, how smart they are, how capable they are, how professional they are, whatever, they still find themselves with these people. It's because it fits with what's familiar to them, right? It fits with what they are comfortable with. And so now you're basically just reparenting yourself and you're seeking out what would I like to believe about money? Would I like to believe, first of all, I am the money. Second of all, money is the most abundant resource in this freaking world, okay? Your special capacities that you can, and I don't know a ton about exactly what you do, but let's say you write awesome blog posts that help with SEO, blah, 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 right? Whatever it is. You have a skill that is not a commodity. There are special things about you that are not interchangeable. And you know what's interesting? When you said the thing about expendable, I wrote it down, right? It didn't just hurt because, okay, now I don't have a job. There's a pain there, right? You can feel the historical pain of feeling expendable. So you have to ask yourself, when else in my life did I feel this feeling? Did I feel this feeling when mom and dad were fighting and they didn't notice me and I felt neglected? Or, like it's some deep, like vulnerable ass stuff. But when you can actually go there and you can make peace with and you can give love to that child within us who didn't always get the things that they wanted and didn't always get the things they needed and were traumatized in different ways about money and what you can have and will you be okay, the thing is, our histories repeat itself until and unless we're able to reparent that child, comfort that child, give that child love, and reassure them that no matter what the fuck is in our bank account, no matter what, if we close the client this month or not, whatever, that we are intrinsically worthy and valuable and that we will be there for ourselves. We will still love ourselves. We won't betray ourselves. We won't, so many people that I work with and I talk with are so fucking hard on themselves. And I understand, because we are achievers. The fact that we're entrepreneurs, we're achievers. How we got here is by being hard on ourselves. And yet, what got us here is not what's going to propel us to continue, And so do you feel that there are some ways that you might be able to reparent yourself? And sometimes it's like the blind leading the blind. You're like, I don't know what I don't know. And that's why sometimes we seek out outside help, right? But even just to recalibrate your understanding of, it's okay to ask. It's okay to have needs. So many, like, just to get into different relationships with our parents and us as children, right? A lot of the time we didn't feel like it was okay to make our needs known because our parents themselves were suffering or going through their own shit. And so now that carries over into the sales context where it's like, we feel like if we ask, we take, and it diminishes them. They're not okay anymore because we took what we needed, or we asked for what we needed. And so I would just say, as a loving piece of homework, can you just write down, what do you find triggering? What do you find still painful about all of this sales stuff? What does it trigger in you? And what are the historical life experiences and traumas that you've had in relation to this? That's step one. And step two is, now the grown-up Lizzie gives love and gives understanding and gives empathy to that, because that part of you will be crying out loud until you give love to it, like a crying baby. But as soon as you soothe it, then adult you gets to be on these calls and realizes, I'm fucking okay no matter what. I'm super talented. They'd be so lucky to have me. And that I'm not an interchangeable commodity. I'm not expendable. And that if this person is not the right fit for me, no worries at all. It doesn't trigger me because I am it. I am the money. I am the value. What do you think of all this?
It's a huge help. I mean,
Good.
yeah, I'm definitely going to have to go back and figure out what the fuck happened as a kid to start the triggering process, because there's definitely something in there that's fucking me up and that's tripping me.
Yeah.
I need to find it, and I need to go back and just say, look, it's okay. It's all right. It happens, but we're going to move on from it. I'm just going to let it go and just move on and be able to sell myself with ease and just realize, I'm me, that there's nobody else but me that's going to be able to help you with this shit.
Yeah. And it's a process. Like, honestly, trust me, there are so many different kinds of painful things that I experienced growing up that I'm still, just because you're working through some of your stuff, it doesn't mean that you can't succeed. Like,
right.
The most successful people are people who have such a high level of self-awareness, not because nothing happened to us, but because we took that stimulus, we took that event that we could not control, and then we made it, we gave ourselves love and we healed ourselves and we worked on it, and now we have gifts that we can give other people because of that. And so you might even find it makes you even better at your work when you can speak about it super proudly and not underestimate yourself and not agree with them when they say, or take pride in the fact that you're expensive. It's wonderful to be expensive. It's something that we all should try to be expensive,
Yeah.
And so I'm going to send you, I have this doc called The Most Honest Conversation You've Ever Had with Yourself. And actually I have a video version too. I'll send you both of those. And it takes a lot of bravery, which clearly you have if you're at this point in your journey and you're open, which you are. It takes a lot of bravery to be introspective, because it's like cleaning out an old closet. You never know what the fuck you're going to find. Oh, there's a moldy peach in here. Oh, there's my ex's blah, blah, blah in here. Like, whatever we're going to find in the closet. But the people who are brave enough to say, this is me, this is my shit, this is what I'm working on, these are my triggers, these are my traumas, these are my sensitivities, are the most incredible people in the world. Because, I mean, we have sensitivities, but you can't trigger the shit out of me because I already know my stuff and I own it and I give love to it on a daily basis,
Yeah.
So I'm gonna send that your way, and I just want to thank you for opening up and talking to me today.
Thank you. Are you kidding?
My pleasure, Les. My pleasure. And if there's anything else that I can do to be helpful for you, you can feel free to message me. And all I ask is just let me know how it went. I'm gonna send you this little video. There's a bunch of questions in there that you can ask yourself, about 30 questions, just because I find that a lot of people are not even used to going there with themselves, because when you ask questions, then you get answers that you might not want, right? But if you just say, this is an experiment in being brave and in exploring myself and my history and my experiences, you might find that out of the 30 questions, 2 stand out to you as useful, and then journal on them or go deep on them. And as long as you're willing to go on this journey with yourself, improvement, healing, and power are all inevitable. So,
yep.
Yeah. Okay, darling. It has been a pleasure getting to know you, and I know we will chat soon. I'll invite you to our next entrepreneur party too.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Mwah. Bye, darling. Have a good day.
Thanks, you too.